Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from an inmate at the county jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2.
Oh no, Fantasia. What happened? Oh boy. Yeah. Well, you know better. It's tough for everybody, but we don't fall back on drugs. We fall back on our friends and family, and we set up a big network for you. I don't know. Nope. Nope. Whatever you say is not going to convince me that you did the right thing. Okay, I'll accept that. You know, there, there's times things mentally mess with you, and it's been happening a lot around the world. And at least you didn't go out and start shooting up people. I mean, that would have been tragic for everybody. It's just that I think you were more of a disappointment to the people that worked so hard to help you to get out of this situation and to stay out. But at least there was minimum damage. We'll say that. So you were able to walk away from it. But I don't know. You okay? But still, you're coming up with excuses to justify what you did. Good. Okay. And that's right. I mean, you did you did break the law and you did get caught and you do accept that. And I'm not going to hold that against you. Nobody will. Well, yeah, of course, we'll be there by your side. We'll help you out. It's just going to be very hard to convince the judge that you should get a light sentence or be released if you're a repeat offender. Okay, okay, we we'll gather as many people as we can to go to the court. You're not going to be alone, and we want you to succeed, and we want to get this drugs and this love of money, purged from your system. And the best way to do that is with your 100% cooperation. There's just no other way of looking at it. Okay. Yeah, and well, you've been to prison before, and you know there are programs over there. And if they did work and if people did follow up on them, you wouldn't be in the situation you're in now because you would have somebody that's kind of hovering over you. But as you know, it all depends on you. And I do remember you told me once that addicts need to want to quit. Okay. And that right, right. And you you're human and you make mistakes. And what we do is we learn from our mistakes. And in the past, you did. You reacted very well. You're able to get out of some tough times. But remember, you're not immune from attacks. You're not immune from problems in society. And you're not living in that vacuum world where things everything goes perfectly. So I want to make sure that
You have 60 seconds remaining.
that you accept that these things are going to happen. And I think I know at the moment when a situation comes up, you're not thinking I could get caught and I can go to prison. You're thinking this is a quick way out. This is going to help me, and that's normal. Don't hate yourself for that. It's just I think what you should do is you should get. I mean, you may have a good person that you trust. Before you
You have
make
30 seconds
a
remaining.
decision, maybe make a call or send a text message out. This is things are bad, and I'm thinking about doing something, and allow people to talk you out. Okay, and we'll see. We'll see what we can do to help you out. But remember, it's up to you, and nobody's really want to push too hard to harm you. So you got to remember that too. Okay, well, good luck. Thanks for the call, and whatever you
Thank you
do.
for using Inmate Call. Goodbye.
Hello, welcome to AQS Inmate Call, and I'm your host, Joel Wilborn. And in this episode, I want to talk about the trials and tribulations we go through in life. And I know we tend to want things to go well every day. You wake up, you have a nice breakfast, you're able to relax, get ready for work. Your car will start or your ride will arrive, whatever transportation you use works perfectly. You get to work, you love it at work, you have a wonderful lunch, you engage in some after work activities. You come home, you're able to unwind, maybe watch a movie, catch up on the news, read a book, have some dinner, and go to bed and do it all over again. Just imagine your life like that. Every day perfect. Would you grow mentally? Would you maintain your happiness? Would you try new things? You One of the things that people aren't thinking about in this political world is the other side. We can hear people complain. What you guys are doing is terrible. These results are not worth it. We don't like the job that you're doing. And so the age old question should be, well, then what do you suggest? What do you want me to do? And I would be very interested to hear that, because we'll see protest. The people that get out there and they'll hold up their signs and they'll throw rocks and Molotov cocktails, or shoot, or just they could do something violent, or they could do something that's legal, but they're protesting out there. And we kind of wonder, well, what do you expect to get out of this? If you go out to protest and you throw rocks at the police vehicles, or you topple over a car that's parked on the street, or you break into and pillage a local business, what do you want? What do you want to get out of that? And in your everyday life, when you do complain, what do you want to get out of that? And there's people that I talk with, and they'll ask me for advice about creditors. And I've been dealing with creditors for years. And if you deal with a creditor, or if you have a customer complaint, maybe you buy a product and it doesn't meet what you expected it to uh, to do, then you're going to want to contact customer service. Or in case of a creditor, the creditor will call you. So when you're on the phone, or when you're actually at the complaint department, before you go in there, you have to think, what do I want to get out of this? And that's what you focus on. It could shift, and you have to understand that things could change, or you could look at it and find that the person you're communicating with has made a valid point. So you have to go to plan B, modify your little complaint a little bit. But before you go in there, make a plan. What do you want to accomplish? If there's a town hall meeting and you want to go to that meeting and voice your frustration, that's what the meeting's for. You let it out. You go there. You say, I don't want fluoride in my drinking water. And they'll offer some rebuttals, but you could say, I don't trust it. But you'll have to come up with reasons why you don't want the fluoride in your drinking water. And it will build your case, because you want to win this debate. And anybody who's been in a debate knows you have to understand both sides. First, you need to know the topic, and then when you go in to do your research, you have to understand what you're talking about and what the your opponent is going to use in their argument. And I'm not seeing that with people out here. They're complaining about how life should be and what they want, and a lot of it's unrealistic. You're just, it, I mean, if you go to work every day of the month, maybe like 20 days out of the month, you go to work, there's going to be an issue in your route. There might be an accident on the road. There might be a case where the police have it blocked off, or maybe there's road construction. You know, that's something you should consider. And so, if it takes you, let's say, 32 minutes to get to work, and you leave 32 minutes before you get to work, I mean, you're giving yourself exactly 32 minutes. You can't expect yourself not to be late sometimes. So you want to plan ahead. Maybe I'll give myself an extra 10 minutes. And so instead of leaving 32 minutes before you need to be there, you'll leave 42 minutes before you need to get there. And if you get there 10 minutes early, let's say you you get there, okay, you get there 10 minutes early, and then give yourself something to do. Maybe you want to sit in the car and listen to a couple of songs or check through your emails. Or maybe you want to go into the break room, have a snack. Maybe even want to eat your breakfast there. Plan that. Because if you give yourself 10 minutes and then there is a detour, or maybe you get a flat tire, you're giving yourself a little bit extra time. And as the years go along, you'll understand the best time to leave, and you'll understand the things that could go wrong. I ride public transportation quite a bit. And there are times that there's a little road constructions or there's issues. You know, a person could get on the bus and cause a problem, and authorities have to be called. So there could be things that could delay it. And with the system that I use, we could get email notifications, or well, not necessarily email, but text messages that let us know that the particular bus we want to ride is going to be late or it's been detoured or something. I've actually been in cases where the bus would break down and we'd have to get on a different bus. And that's something I can't plan for, and that's something that pretty much makes me late for work. But because I know that's a possibility, it doesn't surprise me and it doesn't get me really upset. And yeah, I could go to or I could file a complaint and go to public meetings or something and voice my frustration. But you know, what are you going to do? If a bus breaks down, it breaks down. You cannot stop a bus from breaking down. You cannot stop an accident from happening. And you cannot know everything that's going to happen in the future. That's just the way it is. So what we do is we hope for the best, but expect the worst. And I think a good backup is a good support team for people. I've been called many times of people that are just ready to hop off the wagon. They're just done. Things are so frustrating, they just want to go out and get high, or they want to get drunk, or they want to go to the easy route and sell drugs. And there's times I'm asked by a person who says, you know, this, I hate myself for this, but I started using drugs again, and I need drug money. Now that kind of stuff takes a lot of careful negotiating to try to get these people out of that. And it's not always successful, but at least the person is willing to reach out. If you could be that trusted person that's called, you can make a world of difference. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to give the best advice in the world, but the fact that you're there, that you picked up the phone, that you offered a suggestion, could be leading into the right direction for this person. And you could very well save this person's life. Many cases you'll know it, but there's a few times you may not. And that's how we can prevent crime. Because when you talk to people who are locked up, they felt that was their best option. Now, we have those that just do things, people who are arsonists, and they'll just go out and start a fire and calling somebody up, calling a suicide prevention line or calling a helpline, or even going to talk to a religious official like a priest. And that's not going to change what they want to do because they're just naturally destructive. They just want to do something bad. And there's kids that get bored and they go out and do things and they don't really consult anybody. But the people that get caught, that's the ones that we know are having an issue. And that's the ones that we can focus on. And the people that are locked up, they'll be getting out soon, at least most of them. And they'll need somebody to talk to. They'll need somebody to hang out with that's positive. Someone like you. If you are a good positive influence for people, if you enjoy offering advice and learning things and sharing your knowledge, you could make a difference in these people's lives. But as I said in the phone conversation, it's all up to the individual, especially with addictions. So I'm not 100% sure that we have all of the resources to help everybody because we don't really know what's going through a person's mind. There's people out there that are struggling with things that we'll never fully understand, and they're reaching out to us to as a learning process. They're saying that men love to give the advice and solve the problem, but women like to observe all the different options. Instead of sitting down and saying, I'm going to break up with them, they might think, well, what if I changed my attitude a little bit? What if we went to different spots? What if I wasn't so negative? And they're trying to think of these different options where the man will simply say, if it's not working out, move on. And it just depends on who you're talking to where it's going to work. There's no one cure fixes all type thing, or one medicine or one solution will be the perfect thing. For me, I enjoyed that journey. I like looking around because I learned stuff and I can share it with folks. But there's others that want to come to the conclusion very fast. I was recently watching the news and we had a person who was in prison for murder. Now, he was arrested under the age of 25. And so they were sending him back through because he was pretty young when he was convicted. And he was convicted to go to prison for life. And so they wanted to take the age into consideration. And I think that's a good thing. You should. But this person when the person was in prison, was still committing crimes and went into the courtroom. And the judge, I'm pretty sure he figured out that the judge was going to rule against them because of the way the evidence and stuff was showing. But he lashed out at the judge. And there's those that lunge, want to physically attack the judge. There's those that threaten him. And so that kind of stuff we need to look at because it's different from somebody that that goes to these hearings and they're just apologetic and they're in tears, and you look back at their record and they're outstanding example in the prison. And I've been to cases like that where the the co-defendants were just evil people, but the defendant was actually trying, and it worked for her. She was able to get out because she was sincere. We can motivate people to be sincere, to care, but when people give up on folks around them and their support team, it's like all hope is lost. So we need to examine who's in prison, let the people out that really want to contribute to society, because it's easier to have them out working and paying taxes than have them sitting in there when they don't need to be. And then we need to weed those out from the people that just don't care anymore. They're so set in their ways, or their mind is just messed up from whatever, maybe a bad upbringing, or the fact that they just don't fit in society. They have that type of personality. These folks may need to be locked up a little bit longer. And a good example of that would be Kevin Coe. When I was on the jury for him, he served his 25-year sentence. We voted to keep him in. Now he's out. He served his time the second time. And there's people that are protesting that. But even me, back when I saw the second trial, I thought this guy should be out. But his activity in prison and the way he was conducted himself in the trial and what the witnesses were saying, it just didn't seem feasible to let him out. So, right after that, after his 25-year sentence. And now he's an older person. And I think he's just, even if he wanted to, I don't really think he could commit the same crimes, but I don't know. Somebody somewhere said he needs to be out, and out he went. But there are those that just should be locked up. I mean, as much as I'd like to help them, and we can try, which is good, we should, but it's up to the person, the individual. We just need to motivate them. And that's what usually moves us, our own motivation. And let's give them that spark, help them come along. So I'm hoping you'll pay attention to your friends, family, and your neighbors. See if there's any change in their personality, change in their way, something that's just kind of stands out. Maybe talk to the person about it. Maybe ask some questions. But, if you cross the line, give them some space, because a lot of folks, they just don't like to be probed. And maybe they'll come to you later. But you got to know your limits. And a good way to know that is to talk to people who are professionals, or read books, watch videos. But don't just jump in there, blindly, because this can make a big difference. And usually when you look at the story of the people that do mass shootings, you'll find that there was something in there that's just not right. And in some cases, family members actually tried to help this person, but something came up. And that's what we want to watch for. And I think we'll all benefit in the end from activity like that. But if this is not your cup of tea, perhaps you could help somebody who is helping a person that does that. Or perhaps you can offer some advice to a third party. But just sitting around isn't going to make things better. And know what you want in life. Go after it. And don't give up. It's as simple as that. And the simple thing about living amongst people is do whatever you want, just don't break the law. Don't infringe on people's rights. Don't harm anybody. Even yourself. Don't harm yourself. And you can do it. You could live a comfortable life. It's not going to be perfect. Everything isn't going to go the way you want it to. And it shouldn't, because we learn, we grow from the things that happen in our life. And we become better friends, and we become better mentors. And that gives us reason to get up in the morning, reason to live. And it makes us admired by the people around us. And we do make a difference. You are important. Your life matters. It's as simple as that. Well, thanks for tuning in, and have yourself a fabulous day and make fantastic memories for tomorrow.